When I was maybe 12 years old, the highlight of school was getting the monthly Scholastic Books sales flyer. It always had dozens of books at prices that seem ridiculous by today's standard, on the order of 99 cents for a paperback. And it's through Scholastic that I got my first collection of stories by H.P. Lovecraft and Edgar Allan Poe. I was an aficionado of scary stories even back then. In 1972, I saw a book in the Scholastic flyer that I just had to have. It was called Haunted Houses by a man named Bernhard Herwood, and at that point was a new release. So I ordered it and eagerly awaited its arrival, and when I got it, sat and read the whole thing in one go, scaring the shit out of myself with such classic stories as the canine ghosts of Balachin House, the screaming skulls of Calgarth, and the weird open-ended tale of Nurse Black. There was one story in it, though, that struck me as more sad than it was scary. It was called The Tragic Ghost of Cambridge University. It made enough of an impression on me that when I ran into a reference to it on a site called The Ghosts of 7 Cambridge Colleges, I recognized it immediately, went to find my copy of Haunted Houses, which I still have 30 years later. It tells the tale of an academic fellow named Christopher Round who was seeking a degree at Christ's College. Round was one of these shy but intelligent types who seldom speak and you barely notice until they make a comment, and when they do, it always turns out to be perceptive and interesting, much to your surprise. This was why his classmate, Philip Collier, who was as smart as Round was, but also genial, outgoing, and strikingly handsome, outshone Round in just about every way you could. No one in their class could even approach their level of intellect, but whenever it came to a competition, Round always came in second. This rivalry continued through graduation. Guess who got first honors and who got second? And even afterwards, when both were appointed as fellows to Christ College. Both applied for a professorship in Greek. Collier got it. Round, once again, was forgotten. All through this, their relationship was at least superficially friendly. Round wasn't a combative type in any case, and it's possible that Collier didn't even know the damage he was doing. From the outside, it looked perfectly ordinary. A smart, outgoing guy and his quiet second-fiddle sidekick. The final straw came when Round fell in love with a woman named Mary Clifford. Mary was nobly born, high society, beautiful, and for a while it looked like things were turning in Christopher Round's favor. But fate had other plans in store. Mary took a trip with her parents to Italy and ran into an Englishman while she was there and fell madly in love. Guess who it was? Philip Collier. When she returned, she was faced with the awful task of telling Christopher Round that she had fallen in love with Philip Collier and in fact had accepted a proposal of marriage from him. Round was devastated, but his habit of making light of the anger and jealousy he felt once again triumphed. He forced a smile and wished them well, and Mary went away relieved, feeling like disaster had been averted. But only a few weeks later, Round was walking back to his flat and passed the fellow's swimming pool. He heard a noise, and when he looked, he saw Philip Collier coming toward him past the pool, staggeringly drunk. As he watched, Philip Collier stumbled and fell into the pool. When he was sober, he was a good swimmer, but he started flailing around and seemed to be in trouble. So Round looked around reflexively for something to help him with. He found a long wooden pole with a hook on the end that was used for pulling things out of the pool. He picked it up and went to the pool, thinking that he was going to use the hook to snag Collier's clothing and pull him to safety. And then he stopped and thought, why am I doing this? And he swung the pole, hitting Collier in the temple. Collier was knocked out and drowned. Round expected to shine now that the man who had eclipsed him his entire life was dead. It didn't happen that way. He was consumed with remorse. Mary Clifford, for her part, didn't go running back to Christopher Round. It's uncertain why. It's possible that she was simply so sunk in grief over Collier's death that she couldn't bear to, or maybe she suspected that Round had had some part in his demise. In any case, no investigation was launched. Collier's death was ruled accidental, so there was no chance of a hangman's noose waiting for Christopher Round. But Christopher Round was never to be the same. He threw himself into academics, but even without Collier there, he was never able to really achieve any kind of fame. He lived out the rest of his life in obscurity, and in fact the only reason the tale ever came to light was because he wrote out a complete confession, sealed it in an envelope with instructions that it was only to be opened 50 years after his death. But to this day, his sad, remorseful ghost still haunts Christ's College. Students report seeing his stoop-shouldered form walking, dressed in 19th-century garb, along the edge of the swimming pool, finally disappearing around the edge of the yew hedge. Good story, isn't it? It's a staple in the books and websites about true hauntings in England, alongside the more famous tales that I alluded to at the beginning. There's just one problem here. It's fiction. I'm not saying this because I'm being my usual snarky, skeptical self. The tale of Christopher Round and Philip Collier is the subject of a novel called A College Mystery by Alfred Ponsford Baker, published in 1918. And there's no indication anywhere in the book that Baker thought he was telling a true story. Worse still, for people who want the tale of Christopher Round to be real, there's no mention of the story anywhere before the publication of Baker's book in 1918. And worst of all, a thorough scouring of the records of Christ's College in the 18th and 19th century shows no one named Christopher Round or Philip Collier as fellows of the college. And since Collier was a full professor of Greek, you'd think his name would be recorded somewhere. They're not even mentioned as students. So, what is conveniently left out of Herwood's telling of the story in Haunted Houses, and in every other version of the tale I've seen, is that the whole thing comes from a work of fiction. It's funny how the whole urban legend thing goes, isn't it? Something that might have started out as an upfront made-up story that no one takes seriously grows by accretion and soon acquires the veneer of veracity. And once that happens, once it ends up in these collections of true tales of the supernatural, for example, most people don't even think to look back and check the story's antecedents to see if the whole thing holds water. Just as well, Christopher Round's sad, ill-fated, and tortured life deserves to be in the realm of fiction, and in fact, in the original story, even Philip Collier doesn't come off sounding very praiseworthy. Makes a good tale, though, even if the whole thing did spring from the mind of a British novelist. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. Our resources are down there, and please subscribe to our channel. Thank you.